Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to your weekly MPL Adults Water Cooler Facebook stream. My name is Rudy. I'm a library assistant at McAllen Public Library. This is episode number 46. It's March 24th, 2021. On the crawl below me here, you'll see that there is like on our Facebook for daily content. So there's the name of us on Facebook. Look for us, MPL Adults, and also our YouTube. Find us on YouTube. Just search McAllen Library, and we'll be the first one to come up. So today is going to be a little different than normal. Usually, I like to change up what we're talking about every week. Introduce three different just interesting stories that I found throughout the week. But this week, I'm going to do a little different, and I'm going to actually focus on just one subject. And if you've already read what's happening here, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So let me go here. So first things first, of course, we're going to introduce our national days or weeks for March. We're in the third or fourth week of March already. And we're going to talk about what holidays have come up, what we've missed, which is a very important one. We missed a very important week, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So let's get going. National days, weeks, and month of March. Hashtag celebrate every day. So just preemptively, I want to say that we are in the fourth week of March, but due to our special guest last week, if y'all tuned in with Julia and I, we had a representative from Nuestra Clínica del Valle who spoke about the healthcare marketplace, different resources that they offer. If you missed that, go ahead and watch that. That's down below in the Facebook page somewhere of last week's water cooler. But last week was actually National Introverts Week. It was March 15th through the 21st, and it's set aside. This week is dedicated to confronting the stigma associated with introversion and to celebrate the inherited strengths and qualities that make introverts such a dynamic and successful part of our world. So if there are any introverts out there, this episode is for you, first of all. Second of all, you're not alone, of course. And of course, when I say this kind of stuff, I know we're going to talk about kind of like mental health, that kind of thing, psychology kind of thing. I'm not a though you might think so, I'm not a professional. I'm not an expert in this field. These are just stories and articles that I found over the week, actually the last couple of weeks, that I wanted just to bring forward and share with you guys, because I myself am an introvert. I know a lot of people who are introverts, and I know a lot of people who don't realize that they're introverts, and they're actually introverts. So National Introvert Week was last week. I hope you celebrated accordingly. And I put a couple of gifts here. Just this is like the introvert stream, right? This little chick just sitting in her sofa or her couch, and then the dog at her feet just reading, sipping on some tea, and all my gifts just froze. Oh, there you go. Dara over here making a little fort and to read in. Homer going into the foliage, and of course we'll go into these kind of little comics in a little bit. Might be hard to read, so let me do this. There you go. So it says, when people ask me to hang out, thanks for the invite, guys, but I got plans already. And the plans were, I really had no plans, but I'd rather just sit at home in my PJs and watch Game of Thrones. Introverts Unite, yeah, Grace. Introverts, shout out in the chat. Yes, Nicole, what's up? I think, yeah, I knew you guys would understand what I'm talking about. I know there's a lot of introverts who work here at the library. I think that's probably why they work at a library. But anyway, also this week actually is the week of solidarity. Let me zoom in a little bit. With the people struggling against racism and racial discrimination. March 21st to the 27th this week recognizes the importance of communities and nations to strive towards racial equality and tolerance. It is also a call for the abolishment of laws and practices that encourage racism. It's a super important week. And I want to just touch on it because I'd never heard of this week before. I've never heard of this. And then there's also an International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. And this Sharpeville massacre in 1960 in South Africa, I had never heard of it until just this week. So if you hadn't heard about this Sharpeville massacre and the importance of it and why it happened and who did what and all that kind of thing, it's very interesting. Very sad history, obviously. South Africa has a very sad history, along with a lot of other nations. But yeah, if you have time to read and you like history kind of thing, read up on this. So the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination was March 21st, commemorates the anniversary of the Sharpeville Massacre in 1960, and falls at the beginning of the Week of Solidarity. On that day in South Africa, peaceful demonstrators against apartheid were killed. In 1966, the UN declared that each year on March 21st, the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination should be observed as a symbol of the worldwide need to end racism. Definitely. Yeah, apartheid is sad. Yeah, I had always heard the word, and I've kind of been fuzzy on the history of South Africa, just because I don't really like reading any nonfiction or don't like really getting into history that much. Just my own personal views. But apartheid was very, very intense and sad and horrific for a lot of the population in South Africa. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe some of the stuff that I read and the laws that they had. But yeah, this week in solidarity with people struggling against racism and racial discrimination. Trevor Noah's book, yeah, definitely. I've heard of Trevor Noah's book, and I know he was born in South Africa, so maybe I'll check that out. Thank you. Just a couple things about what's new at NPL. We don't have the April virtual programming or in-person programming schedule out quite yet, and I will post that as soon as I get it. But if you don't know, we have a new ebook audiobook service called Cloud Library. You need a library card from anywhere in the county. Download the Cloud Library app, or you can go to that link right there on your laptop or desktop computer, and you can listen to all types of ebooks and audiobooks. You can check out, I think, 10 per card, and look at the what's it called? The variety. They got fiction, they got nonfiction, teens nonfiction, kids nonfiction. Excuse me, all kinds of stuff. You'll find something for sure. If you don't find something that you like at first, I'm sure you'll find something. But anyway, let's get into something else. That's what's going on at the library. But now we're going to start with our subject. So this week, like I said, last week actually was National Introverts Week. So let me close this. And we're going to talk about a little bit about introversion. So if you don't know what introversion is, I'll go ahead and talk about it a little bit. Cloud Library is great. Yes, it is. I checked out a bunch of books. They have a bunch of new books that I didn't see on Libby. So shout out to Cloud Library. Let me pull up this page here. So, introversion. So I didn't know this at first, but apparently there are 4 kinds of introversion. And of course there's a cat, because cat owners apparently are just introverts at heart, right? Everyone knows that. Cat owners are introverts. They go hand in hand. It's okay though. But I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom of this where they talk about the 4 different types of introversion. Just a brief little description of each one. So maybe if you hear something that kind of speaks to you, or you think, hey, I sound kind of like this, maybe you're that type of introvert. So taking together the first letter for blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it is very complicated, and introversion is on a spectrum, so it's not absolute, obviously. You'll be a little bit of this, you'll be a little bit of this type, a little bit of that type. Maybe you got a little bit of extrovert in you. That's okay too. So there's a social introvert, is a typical definition of introversion. and that a preference for socializing with small groups instead of large ones. So that's the big takeaway on that one. You like small groups instead of large ones, or no group at all. Solitude is often preferable for those who score high in social introversion. Quote, they prefer to stay home with a book or a computer or to stick to small gatherings with close friends as opposed to attending large parties with many strangers. But it's different from shyness in that there's no anxiety driving the preference for solitude or small groups. So that's social introversion. I think I have a bit of that myself. I prefer small groups just because I have a small group of friends. Thank you. There's a link to the article if y'all want to get into it. There's thinking introversion. This one is a newer concept. People with high levels of thinking introversion don't share the aversion to social events people usually associate with introversion. Instead, this style of introversion just means a person who tends to be introspective, thoughtful, and self-reflective. Quote, you're capable of getting lost in an internal fantasy world. Okay? But it's not in a neurotic way. It's in an imaginative and creative way. So there's thinking introversion where you're kind of in your own thoughts. I know I've heard that. I'm sure everyone's heard that phrase before. Hey, you're stuck in your own head or you're lost in your thoughts. That's a little bit of thinking introversion. I don't really get into that kind of stuff myself. I'm not really in my thoughts too much. Anxious introversion. And I think every introvert has a little bit of anxiety. And of course, I'm not an expert. That's just what I think. There are people who make a world in their own mind. Yeah. And I'll look up the quote from the person who coined the term introvert, and I'll see, and you'll see exactly how it links together. Anxious. Unlike social introverts, anxious introverts may seek out solitude because they feel awkward or self-conscious around other people, because they're not very confident in their own social skills, but often their anxiety doesn't fade when they're all alone. This kind of introversion is defined by a tendency to ruminate, to turn over and over in their minds the things that might or could or already have gone terribly wrong. So this is kind of like really, really bad anxiety, maybe like people who experience anxiety attacks, that kind of thing, anxious introverts. And that sounds a little bit like me. I've been, full disclosure, I'm an introvert myself. I've said that before, and I've identified that in myself. But I've been out in places or stores or even like gas stations, and if there's a lot of people in there, I might not go in. I might get in the car and go find another coffee shop or another gas station that has fewer people. That's just a little bit of anxiety that comes with being an introvert, or just liking quiet places. Right now, I'm in a quiet room. I like being in a quiet room, just so I can, do my own thing. And restrained, that was really awkward. Restrained introversion. You could also just call this reserved. Restrained introverts prefer think before they speak or act. They also might take a while to get going. They can't, for instance, wake up and immediately spring into action. So this is somebody who just gets a slow start in the morning. They're very reserved. They're very to themselves. So yeah, those are the 4 different types of introverts. And I actually think I see myself in a little bit of all of them. I like being in small groups instead of large groups. I don't get too lost in my head too much. I'm very anxious when it comes to certain situations, and I can be a bit of a slow starter in the day. So there's that. Those are the 4 different types of introversion, and maybe you see yourself in one of those, and you kind of come to terms and say, hey, maybe I'm that type of introvert. And there's no big deal. Introversion is not a bad thing. And like we said, we're going to break the stigma today. I know there's a lot of stigma behind introverts, and like, man, this guy's depressed, or this person is depressed. Why doesn't he want to go out with us? What's wrong with him? Hey, maybe this person just wants to be at home. I don't know. Maybe they just want to watch a movie or, read a book. After your isolation, excuse me, Are introverts doing okay? This I kind of just want to get in a little bit just to see the. Oh, here's the definition that Carl Jung, I believe it's pronounced, came up with. So I'm going to kind of read these two paragraphs right here. So I remember when this happened around a year ago, we've been in a year into this, whole quarantine, hashtag stay home, a coronavirus thing here in the States, or at least in Texas. And I remember when it came up, and I'm just like, I get to stay home. And I'm sure a lot of people were like, wow, I don't have to go out as much, or like, I don't have to go to work maybe, or I can, instead of saying, hey, I want to just stay home, I don't want to go out this weekend. You don't have to, you don't need an excuse because, hey, it's, quarantine, hashtag stay at home. And there's the link to the article. Thank you, our gracious moderator. Yes, thank you, Grace. I remember when, these stay at home orders, these hashtag stay at homes, these, yes, I was like, I can't wait. A lot of people were like, I've been training for this my entire life. I'm however many years old. I've been training for the stay at home for however many years I am. So sorry I'm late. Work is a bummer. No problem, Hector. We're just talking about introversion and quarantining, how quarantine affected introverts. So there's this quote from a bunch of people that they ask. Here's a YouTube personality named Daniel Howell. Quote, all the health experts are saying hashtag stay home. Okay. Where were you guys when I was disappointing my friends and family by doing that for years? But yeah. Popular Twitter account Introvert Live posted at the start of the pandemic. Quote, social distancing? Please, I've been training for a pandemic my entire life. Introverts, rise up. We're finally valid. Okay. Tweeted YouTube personality. Okay, there's that YouTube guy. So yeah, a lot of people, and I think that was kind of like, you kind of jumped the gun there, right? We didn't know how much the United States would be affected by this. Even Texas would be affected by the coronavirus. So people were, they were popping off their jokes. They were saying the introverts thing, hey, I get to stay home. I'm an introvert. Cool. But like, oh no. Where did it go? Let me reload. Yeah, so people got their jokes off, and like, because we didn't know how crazy it was going to get, how devastating it would be. So the term introvert was first coined by psychiatrist Carl Jung, who defined introversion as, this is a really good way of putting it, preoccupation with one's inner world at the expense of social interactions. So you're preoccupied with your own inner thoughts, maybe your own inner world, your own inner feelings. You put yourself first. That's the way I see it. You're putting yourself first at expense of social interactions. Instead of going out to the club or to the dance, that's like from the 50s. But like, if you go, instead of going to the club or to the bar or to, I don't know, a party, I don't know, you rather put yourself first, and you rather just stay at home, read a book, watch a movie. That's no big deal. Yes, it's true. I agree. Comfort first. Yeah. Put yourself first. Comfort first. Gaming first. If there are any gamers in the chat, go ahead and just drop a okay or a like little emoji. I don't like saying that I'm a gamer in public. That's just me. But I'm definitely a gamer. So yeah, that's the term introvert, and it was coined by Carl Jung. And it's a preoccupation with one's inner world at the expense of social interactions. Gaming is life. Been playing GTA lately. Let's go. Who's grinding GTA? That game's been out so long. But anyway, let's move on. So that's what introversion is like in a pandemic. There's another article that I wanted to get to. I'll get to it I'll just skim it pretty quickly. And where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. And there was just a call from Buzzfeed for a bunch of introverts. There's the gaming little emoji there. So Buzzfeed put a call out for how quarantine has been affecting different introverts. So a bunch of people wrote in or commented in or emailed in their experiences during quarantine as introverts, and a lot of it actually surprised me. A lot of people, and let me know if this speaks to you. It didn't speak to me at all. Excuse me. There's a lot of people who actually commented and said, I'm an introvert through and through, but quarantine has really made me an extrovert. Or I found out that I'm an extrovert, during quarantine. And in my head, I don't think that applies to me at all. The only difference I see in myself, introversion during quarantine, has been doing this live stream, only because I don't think I would have done anything like this if it wasn't during quarantine. Bobby, if y'all remember Bobby, he was he thought of this podcast and we put it together. Yeah, nope. Yeah, me neither. Fake introverts. Yeah, are they fake? Are they ops? But yeah, a lot of people, and I'll just kind of skim through here, and you'll see some. But a lot of people in this piece who wrote in are saying like, I miss just going out to a club. Like I wouldn't go out before COVID, but now that I've been quarantining for a year, I want to just go out to the club. And it's just like I don't see myself doing that. Maybe it's because I've never been a club person or just going out person in general. But yeah, maybe these fake introverts ought to just come out as extroverts. Not cool. Um, but yeah, a lot of people who are introverts during quarantine, we don't have to come up with excuses now for not going anywhere. Maybe your family wants to throw a big party or a barbecue or something. You're just not feeling up for it. You can just say, hey, you know what? COVID. The whole COVID. Hello, COVID over? Is COVID over? No. Yeah, I didn't think so. So you can just say like, hey, I don't want to go because COVID, or hey, I'm still quarantining. Bet I'm quarantining. There's a trick to it, Hector. The chat. I don't want to share that. But the last and not least, I want to just bring up these funny tweets that introverts would totally relate to. So if you're an introvert, you're totally going to relate to these 13 tweets. Thank you everyone for watching, and I think we'll end on this. The chaplain's going to, oh my gosh. Let me move this banner so we can, let's all enjoy these tweets. So if you're an introvert, hopefully you totally relate to these tweets. Quote, sorry I missed your call. I did it on purpose. But this actually came out 2 weeks ago. But anyway, let's get into them. And we'll rate if they're funny or not. So let's start with number 1. A large group of people is called a no thanks. # introvert. That's pretty good. Yeah, here's the link to this 13 tweets article. Why is it always 13? That's like not a lucky number, is it? I don't know. Number 2. Let's see number 2 here. Anybody else prefer the seat in the back corner? # introvert. Okay, I could totally relate to this. # introvert. Corner seat, 6 out of 10. Okay. No, I totally see this. I see this in me. I like the back seat. I like the cornerback seat, just because always check your six. Always check your six. Always know who's behind you. The window seat when you can get it, right? And I'd rather stand. Standing, yeah, standing is fine. Just so you can move around. It gives you freedom to move around. Thank you. Yes, this one's a 10 out of 10. Sorry for the delay. All right. That one I totally relate to. This one's funny. As a painfully quiet introvert, there's nothing more distressing than a man on stage screaming, I said, are you having a good time tonight? I want to go home. This one's pretty funny. I don't know. When someone says, are you having a good time? I just always just clap and just say, yep, let's get it. This one's good. I just like the little gift that they put here. Number 4, person. Maybe in March you can open up the courses. Huh? and the courses will be done in person again instead of online. Me, please don't make me leave my house. That one's okay. I think that's just, I mean, leaving the house, it can be bad, it can be good. Sometimes it's good just to get some fresh air. Um, I think for me, it just takes a lot just having to get ready. I don't like going out in public too much without, at least making myself look decent. Even though I'm wearing the mask all the time, I have to at least, do my hair, shower, or something. What am I gonna do when the hashtag COVID-19 pandemic is over and people try to make plans with me? Go back to lying and telling them I'm busy? Hashtag introvert problems. Um, I don't know. I don't know about this one. This one wasn't that good. Introvert problems. I can only be contacted by phone. I can only be contacted by text message. Explain why you cannot be contacted by telephone call. I don't like it. A lot of people don't like talking on the phone. And I think that's just a millennial thing, only because it's been like so many years since we've had just texting. And middle school, you're texting, high school, you're texting, college, you're texting. And now you got to do like these business calls or like work calls. And it's just like, can't this just be a text or an email? 90% of calls could be emails. 90% of meetings could just be calls. No one calls me though. Your phone is dry. Can't relate. Could be just sent through as text. Yes, exactly. Number 7, introverts. March 1st, 2020, March 1st, 2021. I could agree with this one. That one's pretty good. Just sitting in your bed, drinking some tea. Number 8, me in a meeting. This could have been an email. Oh, okay, here we go. Me receiving an email. I'm going to hurl myself into the sun. That one's good. Yes, but I still stand to that. A lot of meetings could just be a phone call. A lot of phone calls could just be an email. Always simplify your life, folks. This one, they spelled pajamas all wrong, so we're not going to even talk about that one. Number 10, gone this whole pandemic without ever using hashtag Zoom. I think I've mastered this introvert thing. Lucky. Number 11, normalize letting, oh, this one's good. Normalize letting people keep their camera off during Zoom calls so that they can maintain one personal boundary while work evades our home lives. Snap. Let's go. That one's pretty good. Marissa D. Barrera, go off. Number 12, it's 2021. Must we still do phone calls? And there's a cat with sorry I missed your phone call. I did it on purpose. Pretty good. 3-day weekends, an extra day to recharge away from the crowd. Yeah, sounds good. At Introvert Living. But yeah, those are pretty good. A lot of those are actually pretty top notch. I think maybe like half of those were good. And actually, last thing I want to do is just share some further reading for us introverts. And I've totally read all of these and know exactly what they're all about. So take my word for how good they are. But anyway, here's the first one. The Introverted Leader by Jennifer B. Callweiler, PhD. Introverted Leader. There's that one. These are just further readings, and these, of course, are found at McAllen Public Library. The Secret Lives of Introverts, Inside Our Hidden World by Jen Graneman. Check that out. Or just pause when I put it up. The Irresistible Introvert, Harness the Power of Quiet Charisma in a Loud World by Michaela Chum. I like the covers. And Introverts in Love, The Quiet Way to Happily Ever After by Sophia Dembling. Those are some further readings for y'all. But thank you very much for watching, everyone. This was our introvert special. Share this with someone who's an introvert. Maybe you know someone who's an introvert and they're very quiet, and you want to just say like, hey, I understand what you're going through because Rudy at the library is an introvert and he totally just did a water cooler stream all about you. So share it with them and share it with them. And if you know someone in your family who's an introvert, um, give them their space, give them your understanding, give them your time. Just check in on them every once in a while. They're okay, but just check in on them, you know. Yeah, what else? Thank you for watching. It's about half an hour in. I feel like I'm missing something. If we get April's programming calendar by next week, I'll be posting that for sure, and we'll talk about it and what kind of programs are coming up. Um, yeah, I think that's about it. Let me go ahead and do this outro. Thank you all for watching. Share, like, comment below. I'm gonna read the comments in about an hour just to see if I missed any. But that's about it. Thank you so much. We'll see you all next time.